start from having talked to my small business people and my small bankers, but you two gentlemen need to get out more. And you need to take Mr. Bernanke and Mr. Paulson with you, and you need to walk around some town squares. I invite you to Noonan, Grantville, Thomaston, Barnesville, to get to talk to people, because for what I hear you saying, you think this is working. And I can tell you right now that the majority of my constituents don't think it's working. We were told by Secretary Paulson this is something that had to be done immediately on September the 19th. 17 days later is when it passed. We said, did you look at any alternatives? No. Do you know that this will work? No. Those are two answers that I think were truthful. But now we are looking at other alternatives. Things are going in a different direction. This thing is changing on the fly, yet some of these things were never looked at prior to. And let me tell you about some of the things that's going on in the real world. What's going on in the real world is that I've got bankers that I met with at different events that tell me that the only way that they want some cash from the TARP program is so they can buy smaller banks. I've not seen any relief from the smaller banks. I have community bankers calling me every day. We need to look at some things that we can help immediately with them. We need to look at the mark to market. And I know there was some proposal in the bill, or at least the SEC said they were going to look at it. You should be demanding the mark to market, because what's happening, if you think the home foreclosure rate is bad right now, you take the builders and the developers that have relationships with these small banks, and we have every different type of regulator come in from these different, we need to consolidate those regulators, because they have come in and say, look, you need to get this guy to put in more capital. If they put in more capital, they're going to lose all the other properties. This thing is going to snowball. It's going to become enormous. You have got to look at some things other than giving these big banks cash to make this system work. And you can do that partly with your regulators, and you can do it partly with the mark to market. There are a lot of things that you can do immediately to help these situations. For some reason, we have a government and we have agencies that think that the only way that they can help is to throw money at something. Well, you're throwing money in the wrong places. You need to get out and you need to talk to the real world and find out exactly what's going on. People are hurting out there. These foreclosures are great, but we're not doing anything for immediate relief on them. We're not doing anything for immediate relief on the small businesses. I want to ask you, do you think that this money that you are giving to these banks should be used to acquire other banks rather than thin up credit? Because the one story I heard continuously about the bailout was this traffic jam on the expressway. And until they got that wreck cleared out of the way, that the small business loan was behind it, the credit card bill was behind it, and the credit flow couldn't get cleared until this wreck was cleared. The wreck's been cleared. The credit flow is not there. And the purpose of creating this highway, opening this highway to get the credit going back and forth, seems to be detoured, redirected. We're now looking at auto loans, credit cards, and other things rather than looking at this small business. And what's happened is, rather than the credit being freed up, the detour has come for now this money to be used to buy smaller banks. I want to hear what you think about that, and if you found out that some of these banks were taking this money just to buy competitors and smaller banks, is that the purpose that you originally, either one of you or your bosses originally intended for this money to do?
Thank you for that question. Regarding the capital purchase program, which is what you're referring to in terms of capital injections in banks, I need to, I guess, step back again and say 31 business days ago, we started these injections, and they've reached over 60% of the deposits in this country. We have 3,400 banks in line now, small banks, first come, first serve. We're not first come, first serve. Any of them can apply. Applications are there. We are ready to provide funding to them if they ask.
For credit or for purchasing other banks?
For credit and providing loans to them. Now, the plan of the TARP was to, and remains to stabilize the financial system. If a bank can make loans, is healthier, can get this capital and become a healthier bank with its balance sheets, with confidence rebuilding, that's a very good sign. If it can help the entire community by making a smaller purchase, that's a good sign. It helps stabilize the system. You don't want one bank to do well and one bank to fail. We think that's something that would be not beneficial to a community. Regarding some of the other items you discussed, whether it's credit cards or auto loans, one of the points that Secretary Paulson made last week was a proposal, and that we're working on closely with the Federal Reserve regarding the securitization markets. And this is a very important market, which has seized up and has caused tremendous pressures for small businesses and banks. And let me just explain it very quickly. When auto loans and student loans and small business loans, credit card loans aren't being originated, that is, banks cannot make these loans, cannot package them, and resell them. They're all good loans, they're guaranteed by the government, many of them, and they're still not being purchased because there's no securitization market functioning right now. That's a problem. And so while we think the clog is unclogged, it's not unclogged. We're still going through this process right now. We have a way to go. And we do believe, again, in this, I guess, day and age, when we look at minute-by-minute stock ticks, it's been 31 days. And banks are lending on the top end, and they will be flowing to the bottom end. And I mentioned this again, we have close to 4,000 potential applications that can come in the next 3 weeks. We intend to go through them, and we intend to ensure that small banks, community banks, thrifts have access to capital that they need, that can be made as loans to small businesses. And I sincerely believe that.